Evening intuitives, and happy Thanksgiving to those of you that are with your family and if you are by choice, which leads me into the topic of this video: narcissistic tactics, holiday guilt. Now that it's Thanksgiving, we are officially in the holiday season, although the marketing scheme has been going on since, the beginning of last month, even before Samhain happened. Samhain, the rest of you call it Halloween. But for us witches, it's Samhain, the hexing candle. But a common tactic that's used for those of us that are survivors of narcissistic abuse is holiday guilt. And it's especially true for those of us that have caught on, that know we're being abused, that know what a narcissist is, that know what a borderline is, that know what histrionics are, gaslighting, flying monkeys, enablers, all of it. So if you stumbled across channels like mine and far more professional, successful ones, you know what I'm talking about. If this is your first video on the subject, I have lots of others that you should watch. Watch mine first before you go to other people. Other people's may be better, but I need the views and I'm prettier and more entertaining. So, but it's this time of year that those of us that have gone no contact try to get hoovered back in, and even more common because I've, been in this situation for a long time, when those of us that are low contact try to get suckered back in, brought back into the fold, especially if you were the scapegoat, if, you were the black sheep, because the narcissist needs that narcissistic supply. They need to abuse you. They need to unload on you. They need to make themselves feel superior. And without their main scapegoat or black sheep, it's very difficult for them to do it. That's why they love the holidays so much, because, gatherings of people, they get to show off their stuff and, their materialism. And materialism is celebrated this time of year. And they can also kick the black sheep in front of an audience, which is what they love. They get that adoration, that glory, like, look how much better I am. Like, look at what a piece of shit I am, and look how perfect I am. See, I'm perfect. And especially if they're the ones who like to host events or parties this time of year, then they can not only show off their wealth, but everybody tells them how great they are, and you see their fake niceness. And you've been with my channel for a while and you've seen others, you know what I'm talking about. So this is an especially tough time of year for those that are no contact and those that are low contact. And there's certain holiday guilt tactics that the narcissist will use. The number one being the nostalgia factor. They're going to try to sucker you back in with the nostalgia of happy memories from the holidays from when you were a kid. There's a couple things to keep in mind. One, you're not a kid anymore, you're an adult. You get to make the decision of who you talk to and where you go and all that. They can't force you, which, was not the case when you were, say, 13 years old, because you're a minor and you can't drive. It's a common thing that, I came across, and I heard Ali say it too. And I'm like, oh, that is a thing. It's, if you notice, if you've been in this situation, if you're the black sheep, you ever notice how, like me and Ali too, once you turn 16, you drive yourself to every family event so you can make a quick getaway. When you've had too much, like, you're 16, they can guilt you in the coming, but it's like, oh shit, after an hour, something, I gotta go to work. That was always the thing. It seems to be very common amongst the scapegoats and the black sheep. But the holiday guilt will come, uh, emails, calls, text messages, cards, especially if you're dealing with people of the older generation. They love, to throw a guilt trip through some card. And they're gonna play the nostalgia card. They're gonna, try to make you think of happy memories from when you were a kid, and act as if those are going to be recreated. Now, in this instance, there's a couple things you have to remember. As far as I'm concerned, now granted, I am a pagan witch, Christmas is for little kids who believe in Santa Claus. That's who it's for. That's what all the lights and all the presents are for, because you like seeing like the little 6-year-old light up. We know what that's like. We remember. We were all 6 years old once. That, to me, is who Christmas is for, not, for some keeping up with the Joneses. Look how fancy my lights are, and look how much stuff I have. Look how much people love me. Look at my stuff. Don't you wish you had all my stuff? And back to the point about the nostalgia factor is another important thing to keep in mind. Like I said, not only are you not that little kid who believes in Santa Claus, because most little kids, look forward to Christmas or Hanukkah. Some of my closest friends growing up were Jewish, but they came from narcissistic families too. So, wasn't really all that different in that terms. They had to deal with them for 7 days. So, 8, sorry. 8, 8, yeah, 8. 8 crazy nights of narcissism. Hey, Schusterman, I know you're watching this. And to my goddaughter, now you know why your parents, never came back to PA. Take me with you. Anyway, so that can be the guilt factor. And another important thing to remember, like not only you're not that little kid anymore, is some of those happy memories from when you were a kid at Christmas time is probably from people that aren't around anymore. Like in my case, yeah, there were happy times when I was a kid, but that was mainly because of the presence of my grandparents and other relatives of the World War II generation that kept the narcissistic boomers in line because, they were still afraid of them. They would call them out. They're gone now. So there's nothing keeping them in check anymore. Because I distinctly remember, especially, my grandmothers well into their 70s would call my parents out and the other people of that age group on their bullshit, but that's not a thing anymore. They're all gone. So keep in mind, some of that nostalgia guilt that they're using and those happy memories, they can't be recreated. The people who are most responsible for those happy memories at the holiday times and that sense of like almost functioning family, those people very well may be gone. And also another one is keep in mind, it's on the same point that you're not a kid. Maybe the holidays were fun when you were a kid because you got to see cousins you liked who live far away. I did. That's the Christmas Eve party at my maternal grandmother's sister. I had cousins that I got along with that lived 3 hours away, so we didn't see them that much. And the other cousins were there, and all the kids would play like GI Joe and stuff when we were like 6, 7 years old. You're not going to be doing that as an adult. And those cousins are probably far away, again, even further, and they have families and stuff, and they might not be there. So the fun that you remember as a child, what they're using that nostalgia guilt for, is not applicable. Do not let nostalgia suck you in to, being used as the scapegoat, to being used for them to fill their narcissistic supply yet again. And keep in mind, for those of us in our position, don't get sucked into the materialism. Like, oh, yeah, you're gonna get stuff. Has stuff ever made up for what they put us through? Has it ever? Think about it. Would you rather be free of all the bullshit that goes along with narcissism as best you can, aside from what's stuck in your head? I'm talking about letting it continue being in these people's presence. Is that worth anything material that you may get that, you'd like? I mean, really, your sanity, is your integrity, to me, mine's worth more than, say, an iPad. I can buy an iPad. Yeah, they're not cheap, but a few $100 isn't going to change my life one way or the other, whether I have it or I have to shell it out. It's just an example. And also, if you are sucked back in, it won't just be for the day, because then the other people be laid on the guilt trip, why you never around, this and that, and they want to completely bring you back into the fold. That's another tactic at this time of year you have to remember. If they're probably playing it's the holidays, make an exception. No, 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 no. The narcissist it's never just one thing. It's never, I'm going to push your boundaries this much. It's, how can I get you back into the status quo that you fought so hard to get away from? Because that status quo worked great for me because I got off on it. And, you were miserable and I got my supply. We have to get back to that. We also have to discredit you in front of everybody and make everybody think you're crazy because now you know things. And that's when it's real bad. Think about this too. If you're in a situation where you're no or low contact, you've probably called these people out in some way at some time. They know you know. They know you know. So it's going to be even that much worse, especially with the slander, with the discrediting you, making you look crazy, because they know you're onto them. That you have the terminology, the tactics, now what they're throwing at you, and and what tactics they're using and how they're using it and why they're doing it. Unlike when you were, say, 12 years old and it was like for me and Ollie Matthews too, and probably all of you listening, it's you knew something was wrong, but you didn't know how to put it in the words. You knew it wasn't normal, but you thought it was something so rare and so off the wall that no one would understand if even you could find a way to form it into words. And I couldn't, but I'm an INFJ, so that, you know, get thoughts from here to here. Not that easy. That's why my videos are never the way I want them to turn out to be. But I've gotten over my perfectionism and I post them anyway, and I hope they help. So keep in mind, you're an adult. No one can obligate you to do anything for the holidays, especially if they're going to try to play the card of, this and that about religion, especially if you don't practice that religion. And the ironic thing about it is, I mean, if you are like a true religious person for one of the major religions that have holidays this time of year, fine. But I'm sick of the guilt trips, especially, and I've seen it from the Catholics. It's like, you go to church twice a year. Like, you can't play the Catholic card. I mean, I do know people that are like legit old school Latin mass every week, no meat on, fish on Friday, all that. It's like, you know, you can play that card. You're a true believer. Whether I agree with it or not, you're all or nothing. I respect all or nothing. So, that's different. But don't let people sucker you back in based on nostalgia and memories that are long gone, that feeling of family you may have had that revolved around people that are now long dead. It's not going to magically be, like maybe the happy memories that were maybe 30 years ago. You're not going to be recreating them. You're going to be used as a punching bag because that's what you are. You're the black sheep, you're the scapegoat, and the narcissist wants to beat their chest on the holidays, and they want to get that narcissistic supply, especially when they can get it in front of everybody. Because that's even better. The bigger the group, the more that supply feeds them, the more they want it. And especially because this time of year, oh, you can't call people out. You can't be rude. It's the holidays. So they almost have a pass to get away with it this time of year. This is their season. They love it. So do what's right for you. Be aware of the guilt tactics, especially the nostalgia tactics. Trust your intuition if you feel that it's right to deal with your family or not over the holidays, because if you're an adult, nobody can make you. And don't sell out your integrity to make somebody happy, especially if you know you're just being used the whole time. And of course, watch my older videos, like and subscribe, help the channel grow to help other people. Spread this video because it's important that people get to it now because it's not going to be much help, in January. And best of luck to you. Do what's right. Do what's right for you this time of year. Yes, free will.